Society's infatuation with true crime seems to be more prevalent than ever right now. It isn't unusual for someone to spend a good part of their day listening to one of the many podcasts on the subject or checking out a Netflix movie or documentary unpacking Ted Bundy's harrowing spree of bloodshed. Whatever the reason may be, people remain curious about what makes a killer a killer. How does the psychological phenomenon arise? Where does the impulse to murder come from? And can a serial killer ever be rehabilitated? One of the best ways to approach the matter is classification. According to experts, there are 4 different types of serial killers, and here's what you need to know about each category. The visionary murderer kills on behalf of what they believe to be a commanding otherworldly entity. In other words, they are on a mission from God. Killers within this demographic are typically disorganized in their actions and often suffer from psychosis, hearing voices that aren't real, and they also may experience vivid hallucinations that lead to a psychotic break and a departure from reality, per Psychology Today. One such killer was Herbert Mullen. In the 1970s, he took the lives of 13 people in order to prevent what he believed to be an impending and inevitable earthquake in California. Mullen claimed that his so-called human sacrifices would appease the otherworldly entity that was speaking to him and prompting him to kill. After being sent to jail for his crimes, experts diagnosed him as a paranoid schizophrenic whose symptoms were more than likely accelerated by his heavy use of hallucinogenic drugs in his earlier years. According to This Interests Me, hedonistic killers murder for the sake of personal pleasure, with the subcategories that drive them being lust, thrill, or comfort. It's a primordial compulsion that incorporates certain fantasies, oftentimes chasing an adrenaline rush or intangible satisfaction. Jeffrey Dahmer is a prime example of a hedonistic killer. From 1978 to 1991, Dahmer terrorized the public in a chilling covert fashion and took the lives of 17 men, mostly within the Milwaukee area. Following his arrest, he confessed to authorities, psychiatrists, and the press that his primary motive to kill was rooted in sexual impulses. Dahmer revealed that he was trying to satisfy a sense of control over his subjects in a hypererotic way. He'd reportedly often tried to keep his victims alive as long as possible, inducing them into a state of submission that granted him total domain over them sexually.
The killing was just a means to an end. That was the least satisfactory part. I didn't enjoy doing that.
The third type, mission-oriented killers, are out to rid society of a particular group. They apparently follow an internal paradigm that calls for only one effective solution, and that's cold-blooded murder. Generally speaking, there's a racial, social, or religious angle involved, as the killer often discriminates against a specific faction of people that they deem unworthy or destructive to certain ethical structures, per This Interests Me. Joseph Franklin was a self-proclaimed white supremacist who began his murders in 1977. He had explicitly racist motives and tried to incite others of his hateful persuasion to also kill. In July 1977, he bombed a Tennessee synagogue. Just a few days later, he killed 2 men in a parking lot in Wisconsin. He is most infamous for using a sniper rifle to target his victims, and authorities believe he may have killed up to 20 people prior to his arrest on October 28, 1980.
Once I started doing it and showed them how, other white supremacists would do the same thing, follow suit.
The fourth and final killer type, power and control killers, seek to exhibit total control and dominance over their victims. Doing so is most likely a means to combat a feeling of powerlessness and inadequacy that the murderer feels, generally stemming back to childhood, per Psychology Today. Naturally, it's time to talk about Ted Bundy. Over the past few years, people have developed a particular fascination with Bundy. Those who have followed the slew of recent films and documentaries about him probably understand that he fits the mold of the power control killer chillingly well. Between 1974 and 1978, Bundy kidnapped, raped, and murdered more than 30 women, and experts believe that the actual number of victims could exceed 100. As a child, he was reportedly viewed by his mother as a source of shame. She was apparently embarrassed by his illegitimate birth because of her deeply religious upbringing. These assaults on his self-esteem and self-worth are most likely what contributed to his grapples with powerlessness. He combated these feelings via manipulative charisma and charm, which he used to lure women. He was sentenced to death for his crimes and executed in Florida's electric chair in 1989. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE. 4673.